folks. The weather came back. Stormy times, February and March. You know, there's always weeks of 4 or 5 days of nice sun or whatever. Some people say the weather was normal. Some people say it was a little bit more volatile. But anyway, the storms and the rain is gone for now, so I'm back on my bicycle getting some rays and enjoying the countryside. I found this road recently not far from where I live, and it's kind of an alternative route to Benedita from the one there's a couple of them that I usually take, and it's pretty nice. And there's a couple of roads I want to explore off of this route to Benedita. So that's what I'm doing. Shooting in 4K. You know, the camera will shut off sooner, so I don't ramble on and on and on. So yeah, it's been a fun information couple of weeks. Whatever perspective I take to comment on whatever, it's always inadequate. It seems like if I were capable of it, if I had the knowledge, a lot of what I think about would require a library or a book at least to sort out in detail. The devil is in the details, and there are many ways to see things. So I'm a multi-perspectival type of dude, and so I entertain different points of view and perspectives on things and try to understand them on their merits or critique them based on what I think is totally wrong. But of course that's just me, and who the fuck am I? I'm no genius. But yeah, so we got this human nature problem, we got a scale problem, along with all the other problems that we have. The one thing that I feel like, you know, the system we have now, the global system, call it what you will, couch it in Smith terms or Yarvin terms, I don't care, but it's not even close to the best of all possible worlds. It's a mess, but of course it's perhaps a lot less of a mess than throw a dart at a historical timeline and interrogate the context, you know, plagues and whatnot, inquisitions, revolutions. But still, the capture by the oligarchy, the plutocrats, the idiotic, really stupid bureaucrats of the world with their particular form of economic religion is going to lead us to that Himalayan scale granite wall. So our civilization today is the bullet train. We're all on it. All of us. From radical left to radical right, or whatever, however you want to couch it. Christians, Muslims. We're all on this train, and the final destination is oblivion, obliteration, utter destruction, collapse. It's apocalyptic. Whatever. It will all be revealed. So anyhow, so we have problems that we just don't know how to deal with because the structures and systems we have in place really don't work so well at this scale in the 21st century, and we have solutions to the problems, but we can't get together in force to implement the solutions. So, you know, whatever informs your opinion on things, whether it's MSNBC or Thomas Carlyle or whatever, the Stoics, Orthodox Christianity, Islam, or maybe it's just, you know, working hard for my money or other things. It's all fine and dandy. That's your perspective, your scope, your vocabulary, what you've rubbed against, what you've paid attention to, what you've learned. And none of us know it all. So I still follow Curtis Yarvin and appreciate him. And for a long time I've been hoping that he would spell out something or another of his thoughts in a more systematic sense. Well, he hasn't really done that, but recently he posted something. He requested an open letter from another writer. Sorry, I just read this, but I was so busy reading to get out the door that I didn't bother to. It's like the New Radicalist or something on Substack, and Yarvin is Grey Mirror. Anyway, the one guy was critiquing Curtis's views by targeting someone Curtis really loves, which is Thomas Carlyle. And of course, you know, you take these people out of context and cherry pick what they say, and you can characterize them in various ways as fascists, Nazis, even though Nazis didn't exist and fascists didn't exist back then. But, you know, you can make comparisons. Also, when you're talking about slavery and chains and this and that, you still have to understand who he was, the context he lived, you know, the world he lived in, and the overall larger. Yeah, I wanted to check this context of his, you know, what animated his thinking during his time. But anyway, anyone, Curtis or anybody, can cherry pick. We all do it to varying degrees, and then characterize it as we will. And I'm not defending anybody or advocating anybody. I just find the work interesting and stimulating and informative, in the sense that, hola, bom dia. So, yeah, anyway, there's another thing I want to talk about besides this, but I'll do it in another thing. Anyway, the devil is in the details, and so you can describe what's wrong with something, like we need to completely overhaul the financial system, which I believe, and the monetary system. And we have to overhaul governance and government. We need to do something, because in my view, we're facing specific challenges that are existential threats and only lead to revolution, and I mean bloody revolution, or to the kind of servitude which is more banal, ubiquitous, and soul destructive than anything one can imagine, where you're like in this Orwellian situation and you can't even think anymore. So the microplastics have replaced all your synapses and you are a zombie. You know, Musk looks out the window and sees the zombie apocalypse. Of course, he's not to blame for any of it, because he just defends the status quo that allowed him to con himself into a shitload of money. But anyway, so I think there's a lot that we need to overhaul, and the Constitution of this, that, or the other thing, or whatever, they're documents that existed during their time. They're special purpose vehicles, and they may not be the best way of going about things today. And, you know, on all sides, people talk about eco-fascism, or, you know, things like that. Climate fascism. Well, you can put that label on anything you don't like, especially if that clique is going to tell you, you know, you can't drive your monster truck and spew coal on everybody as you pass by. You took my freedom. And yeah, if you had Curtis was talking about kind of like a police state situation that you would need to really take power, real power, and then to have a project of replacing a system with another system, and you'd need dictatorial power to do that, something like the Romans implemented during crises. Anyway, so yeah, NIMBY stuff, you know, not in my backyard. If you want me to give up my postmodernist identity politics, then damn you, we will fight to the death. Anyway, since I've known Curtis, he's always hedged quite eloquently about, you know, this doesn't mean you have to kill everybody or imprison everybody. It just means you have to make the transition fast and complete, and help people understand the truth and the wisdom of your deeds. Well, then my question is always, well, what are those deeds? What is the new structure? What do you call it? What, you know, and can you take elements of left-right thinking and discover truth in these different ways of looking at things, and then kind of weave them together into a hyper-truth or a poly-truth or some greater truth? You know, it's like interpreting the good books. Yeah, there's a million ways to look at an elephant and to interpret a good book, and they're all conveniently aligned with your biases and beliefs when you're interpreting. So it's hard to come up with that. And then also the personnel. So you're the CEO and you're like, I got the best team in the world to bring all the best people together to make the best dream team in the world. To, you know, when Trump talks about that and he brings in these fucking idiots and ideologues who are basically entertainers, and anyone who talks seriously about Tucker Carlson being one of the people you'd want to hear from, it's idiotic. He's just a guy defending the status quo because it's been bitty good to him. And, you know, he just wants business as usual. And anybody who threatens that is threatening the best things in the whole wide world. But not for you, my friend, not for you. For these elitist lucky fucks who grew up on the right side of the tracks. Anyway, there's a huge, big, wide world, and, you know, you still have global security to consider, nuclear weapons, weaponized AI-driven AI-driven robotic weapons platforms that we're testing on the battlefields as I speak, and so on and so forth. So, you know, what do you attack? and to be replaced, and then what do you replace it with? What are the details, you know? Where's the absolute meat of the manifesto, and so on? That's always kind of lacking. I don't know, man, but we need someone like Donald Trump to kickstart it. Well, fuck him. He's an idiot. You know, it's like, so you want some dickhead from the thing that you're critiquing to change the thing that you're critiquing. It's not going to happen. You need a visionary with incredible strength of character. You know, I don't know. You talk about Salazar or somebody. But you need somebody with that kind of, I know what I believe in, and this is why, and this is what I advocate, and I'm going to do everything to maintain power to control this. This is nice. This road. I like this road. There appears to be a panoramic view on the left here, which I will explore. Now or later? Maybe now. So, yeah, so when you know, it's like talking about Queen Elizabeth I and QE2, the yacht, and all the movements in the world. Whoa, this is sincerely a nice view. I think I've struck gold. It's easy for me to get rich. Take a bicycle ride, cop a view, and suddenly I'm the wealthiest man in the whole wide world. It's very pretty. So this is I have to buy this land and make my dream home here and camouflage it so I don't have to hire my own private security force to protect my lawnmower from the marauding hordes of Shega. Shega is the new right-wing populist political party. As if populism is the thing that's going to get us out of this mess. What mess? So we have to be very, very specific about what the problems are, why they're problems, and the whole complex web of effects and influences, like in science. This influences that, but there's no absolute causal relationship. Anyway, so, wow, there's lots of nice little dirt roads here. This is going to be a real platform of exploration for my bicycle trips in the future. It's close to home, and it's just a whole network of arteries, dirt road arteries, going through the countryside, the bucolic Portuguese countryside. Yeah, so anyway, you know, what are the problems exactly? As if it were an engineering problem, you know, the weight load-bearing structures or whatever. Rocket science, you know, artificial hearts. But, you know, basically you're engineering a culture. And then Curtis talked about the propaganda arm and the government Wikipedia that tells people what to think. If I were the king, I could definitely imagine a dream team and force them to work for me. Incentivize them. And then tell them, this is what I want done, damn it. And so on. But there'd be lots and lots of factions, no matter how powerful I was, that were gonna like say, fuck you. Well, the idea is if I could be king for 40 years like Salazar was the leader of Portugal for 45 years, did anything good happen while he was the leader? Did anything really, really terrible happen? Well, some people think so. And eventually his regime was overthrown. But 40 years is a long time to be in power, and a lot of people really didn't mind it so much. So maybe, you have draconian Spulium T in power for 20 years. You look at like the greatest kings in history, and I think, very few went over 20 years, and very few went over 10 years. Lots of them never made it to 5. So you know what I mean. I think if you are good at what you do, you'll probably last longer. And I don't, the scale of the number of political prisons in Portugal during Salazar's rule or reign or whatever was not that many, and the number of political prisoners as well. But of course, if you were one of the political prisoners being told what to think, it's going to be a horror story, a nightmare, and you're going to violently oppose it if you can. So, but sometimes you need a Roman dictator to sort shit out while things are really going out of control. But at the moment, there's just this intuition that everybody has from the left to the right. It's only the people in the middle who really aren't affected, the petty bourgeoisie, who think everything's peachy because, I saw my UFC this weekend, and I know that the Sugar O'Malley, he's a badass MMA fighter, and he just picked apart. Anyway, and I have my creature comforts, and I'm gonna buy the new iPhone when it comes out, and we don't think about anything really. I mean, come on, man, Schmellenberger. There's nothing wrong with the climate. It's just we need more nuclear energy and to stop fussing over the climate, and just like accelerate business as usual to the nth degree, and technological progress, and all the assholes that Curtis seems to fucking despise will sort it out for us. They'll fix it. Because they're that kind of people. They fucking care. Ooh, that's a nice view there. So I have a feeling I know where this comes out, but I'm gonna find out for sure so I can remember in the future. And then I might go back in the other direction. So, you like he alluded to, it's not going to happen this year. There's no leadership coming in the world this year that's going to do anything. No matter what you think about Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin, whatever. I mean, in the West, the leadership is so corrupt and idiotic. I mean, these people are fucking morons. But, they're really drinking their own Kool-Aid every single day of the week. And they can't imagine any other way of doing things. They're too indoctrinated. And the system's been very, very, very good to them. So why? Why would they want to change anything, right? Whew, these are panoramic views, brah. I better take a photograph for my thumbnail. So anyway, I do feel that way, and I know my normal friends who are doing well in the world, and they just think I'm nuts to think that everything isn't pretty good and that we'll sort it all out because, basically we're really smart animals. No chimping, like Yarvin said. That was pretty funny. The Lucifer principle. So, and I can also think of chimping like looking at your photograph after you snapped it with your digital camera. A moment in time of perfect enlightened thought. It's beautiful. I just wish I could remember it. Yeah, I mean, even my lefty progressive friends think this way, where they're thinking we need a dictator to come along and sort this shit out, because my concerns are real, they're existential, and we really need to do something. Whoa, this is cool. Compound material. See, this is compound material because you can overlook a village, like as if you're in your castle. You can overlook your village here. So I'm just overlooking my village, my people. So in other words, if you have to have, oh, that's sweet. Look at that little picnic spot. Holy shit. I didn't know about this. Look at that. Wow, that's nice. Little solar panel there for something or another. Because we need it. If you talk about energy issues or get in the weeds, the Vaclav Schmel weeds of the energy, the Nate Hagens and his people, we got some really complex things to sort out. And of course, I think that just like if Curtis wants to limit wealthy people to 50 million, I'm saying, goddamn yes, why not? That's plenty of money to be a badass. But anyway, you look at these complicated issues and wondering if constraints aren't necessary. If there are not a whole suite of necessary constraints that must be applied religiously, dictatorially. Yeah, I'm going through this because it's going to get me nice and muddy so I can pretend like I'm a radical off-road biking dude. I got some mud splatter, man. It was fucking wild up there, dudes. God damn, convida with life. Cabeça do Castelo. Oh, this is sweet, man. Some enlightened being said, I'm going to make this for people because, it's nice. And I'm like, yeah, it is nice. So, this is one of my fantasies down here. If you can look down at that agricultural building, it looks almost like a old school winery, and then it's surrounded by pear and olive trees. And I'm asking you, my 5 viewers who view me, to go to their network of millions of people and find a wealthy person, investor, to buy that and then brew hard, dry cider from 8 to 14%. Okay, alcohol. Really dry, crisp, beautiful pear and apple, hard ciders. And I'll help market it. I'll sell that shit. Worldwide, I'll sell it. I'll market the hell out of it. And then I'll come over and hang out with you and chat. So that's one of my dreams. No, I won't do it because I don't have time. I'm old. But somebody out there has the time and the resources to make my dreams come true. Wow, this is so nice. I'm just pleased as punch about this situation. Holy cow. I'm always surprised. I never run out of surprises. Riding my bicycle around. Pee Wee Herman has never had the kind of bliss that I've enjoyed. He can't lay claim to that, man. For some reason, they put these little plants up there, which I think is a great touch. This little swing. Que romantica. Yeah, I don't know if I'll put my face on cam. I don't think I need to. But look at this little, reporting to you from the Pear and Apple Hard Cider Brewery or Overlook. Awesome. La luz now est bon. Harsh, contrasty light. See, it's confusing the whole thing. It can't find my face. Oh no. So, yeah, the whole idea is don't be afraid of the Yarvin or these people, because, their ideas are serious and they're entertaining people and so on, but, they're thinking things through and they have something to say. And if we're going to fix these problems by a reboot or a complete redesign of the software or the whole system, right? From the chips and the hard drives, or not hard drive, SSD drives, to the whole thing. The design element, the Steve Jobs angle. We're going to need ideas from all quarters that solve specific problems in specific ways that will maintain the opportunity to flourish within limits, necessary limits, for a long time to come. And then gradually, incrementally, we might evolve, or our culture might evolve to become truly something we can't imagine that might be interesting or good. Or we just kind of go down the path we're on now, and eventually the bullet train accelerates every second on second. Think of the exponential aspect of that, until it hits the Himalayan-sized granite wall and just disintegrates, turns into smoke. The potential for that is there. And if we continue with this, call it anything, neoliberal, fossil capital, global oligarchy, I don't care what you call it. But this thing of ours, the racket, eventually it could explode. This Ukraine thing could get out of hand. This Gaza thing could get out of hand. I feel terrible. I read that thing by Curis about just move the people in Gaza to the Sinai for a while, get them some nice housing, take care of them, and let Greater Israel do what it's got to do, or whatever. Yeah, the devil's in the details, Curtis. Maybe that's an idea that some people have, obviously. But what is happening is that they're just going to kill everybody. Keep killing them until finally they get what they want. And then somehow it's going to be good for everybody. So the United States is going to be happy. Europe's going to be happy. Everybody's just going to be so happy, right? Just like after the Vietnam War, solved so many things. Afghan, thank goodness Saddam Hussein is dead. Oh boy, and that crazy Libyan guy, Gaddafi. Ooh. But sometimes it is true that I think that it would be better if some of the mainstream folks would just disappear and retire. Go to some nice gated community somewhere and relax. Write your books. Your super fans can follow you on your podcast, but just get the hell out of the way and let some other people try to fix things. I do agree with Curtis and other lefties I know that you need power to do that, but absolute power corrupts absolutely well, You need someone really enlightened and focused and really who knows where they're coming from and has a philosophy of life and is well balanced and healthy inside and out with a good mind, a good soul, a good heart to be able to do this kind of thing. And I just don't know anybody like that, do you? Certainly it's not the people that are up for election in the United States. I mean, we're just, it's going to be 4 more years of exactly the same as the last 16, 24 years, whatever. Nothing is really going to happen that's any different from what happened before, you know. And people will be on the webs as long as the webs are there until wet bulb Earth or whatever, 4 degree C above the 1750 baseline, puts a damper on the air conditioning required to run servers. But by then you'll be beaming Muskian magic from the dark side of the moon, which is plenty cool enough to run hot servers or whatever. Anyone who can make it to Canada or who wants to like take over Greenland when it's ice free and all the methane's boiled off, you know, it's just none of that's a solution to anything. You got to get busy. You got to redesign, re-engineer. Corporate Process Reengineering Consulting, LLC. The whole damn system. But of course, for many of you, you'll think I'm just crazy because it's really not that bad. Please, Stephen, go back to your Steven Pinker books and reread them. Listen to them on audiobook while you're at the gym. Do something, you poor guy, you poor man. Well, like I said many times, thinking about this stuff doesn't depress me at all. It's fascinating and it's exciting, enervating a little bit, but also energizing, vitalizing, fills me full of vim, vigor, verve, and vitality. But yeah, so I'm glad that Curtis kind of spelled some stuff out more or less. Not really, the details aren't there. But the basic, you know, he did answer some questions about his idea of what he means by monarchy. Why he wants to use that word is another thing he could probably spell out, but doesn't really matter. People use metaphors, they use language in creative ways. Even the words matter, like everyone says. We don't always use words in a particular definitive sense, and the meaning of different terms change over time. So, and I, you know, like a manager, a CEO, an executive. I mean, a lot of executives I've been exposed to are not that fucking smart. But it's true what Curtis says. They understand the organization, the beast, the superorganism, which is the corporation, and how to inspire it, how to manage it, right? So even if they're not the absolute creative energy, the creative is the whole, you know, the complete aggregate of all the people and processes and resources that you have in the corporation that's doing the creative bit, you know. It's a collaboration. But you need somebody at the top to make the big decisions. You know, you've got to have some hierarchy there. You know, flat systems are really great for certain things. You know, you pick up the tablecloth, and that little piece of the tablecloth becomes the top of the hierarchy for a minute. You know, and then you move to the other side of the tablecloth, pick that up. You know, and these kind of flat organizations can be useful in certain ways and contexts and so on, but and who knows what evolves after the dictatorship is gone. But yeah, you need concentrated power to make a change of the magnitude that's required for today, in my opinion. But how do you get that? I don't know. Where do you recruit the guy or the girl? In my story, you know, a lot of the heroes are female because they were able to keep on the down low better. They understood pain and responsibility better. They were a bit more compassionate, but still brutal as hell, still just as dangerous as any man. And they had that special disorder that I can't say. I don't want you ripping me off. My ideas, my important, you know, intellectual capital. So I'll keep that to myself for now. But there is a thing going on, maybe, a power struggle, but we don't know who has got this right stuff to generate the kind of executive power that Curtis is talking about. Of course, the other guys, they're just talking about, you know, if anything happens that's radical, you know, it's akin to slavery. I don't believe Curtis wants the old Carlyle to be the boss. He wouldn't fit in well here in our world. And of course, great men of history and all that crap. I think the great man of history knows how to work the superorganism in a creative way. So they have to be very special people that can collaborate and interface with all the moving parts. At least understand how they work more or less, so that the leader can understand the experts, right? And you don't have these like pseudoscientists telling Mao Zedong or Stalin how to grow a potato or rice paddies or whatever, make steel. You know, it's absurd. But of course, you can't have yes men. You have to have somebody who's strong enough in character to know who he needs or she needs to listen to, right? And to take that advice on board and say, yeah, we do that. That's the ideal kind of, you know, West Wing bullshit kind of way to think about it. You know, whether you hate Bartlett, President Bartlett, he's an asshole, but you love Mussolini, I don't care. But, you know, the fantasy is, the idea is that these people can listen to their staff. They're there for a reason. They have a job to do, something to create, something to get done, to accomplish, and they can do it. They're able for it, damn it. Okay, I'm going to stop because, you know, I could just talk in circles around this forever. I want to get Curtis Yarvin over here. I want to go walk the footsteps of Salazar and talk about the devilish details. You know, just muse creatively about what our fantasy CEO would do. You know, does he give a fuck about climate change? Does he, you know, I don't know, but we have to think like, you know, how many cars can you have, dude? Do you have to take public transportation now? You can't have the super truck? Not everyone needs an electric vehicle? So we don't have to take all the, you know, minerals out of everywhere on Earth to fuel the paperclip maximizing machine, which is us. You know, from my story at the end, you know, after the blood-curdling, violent competition for power, you wonder what was the problem in the first place that you were trying to sort out, and you just look into the gray mirror and have that epiphany. Thank you for watching. Buliamti, out. I always think it's cool to repurpose tires in artful ways, like at my old village in Aros Negros. It was cool. So yeah, this is something special. This view here. I love all these forested hills, even though the forest isn't as diverse as it once was. When did it lose its diversity? How many thousands of years ago? Or hundreds, or decades? So down there is the hard cider plant that someone's gonna introduce me to someone who wants to do that for me, because I'm one of those rare people that understands that the whole universe was created just to make me happy. Isn't that amazing? How dare I? Yeah, so this is cool. So yeah, we put the king king's place right up here. The king. There's some good pipes of fiber optics emanating from Portugal. You can have all the beautiful communications, hardware, software, information pipes for the new governmental wiki. This is how you think because it's all true. It's not true like truth claims that people make of scripture. It's like true as in like demonstrably, empirically true with all the data, the good data, not the bad data, and all the good data analysis, not the bad data analysis, and all the good science, not the bad science, to uncover and demonstrate the complex intertwinings of the various lines of evidence that prove every single entry in our wiki is indeed truthful. Now, when we make truth claims, of course, we understand that these things change over time as new information and evidence, lines of evidence, become uncovered and reveal themselves. And then we act accordingly and take those new truths on board in the scientific sense. And everybody's happy. Specialized. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, so, wow, I'm so glad I came this way. So now I'm fantasizing about picnics and coming up here with some friends, with some food. Yeah, somebody please come out with me. I need company, man. I know it's in the countryside and all that, but it's still nice. Yeah, so this makes total sense to me. I know where this is gonna go, which is cool. And I like it. Oh, this is really nice up here, actually. But I'm not gonna go down that way, because I want to see a little more. What time is it? No. It's time to go back. So, yeah, since I brought it up, I'll just go get another angle, another shot of the hard cider. Is a cider a brewery cider? Is that brewed like beer, or is it more like making wine? I'm so ignorant. What do you call a cidery? I love hard cider. It's so freaking delicious when it's cold, and it's a good quality of tipsiness. Sometimes I get tired of drinking wine because it bothers your stomach and your microbiome if you drink it too much. And beer is great too, but again, you have to moderate that stuff. You have to moderate hard cider, for sure. But it's pleasant. You can have 2 or 3 and be like, I'm fucking satisfied. That was delicious. So that's a cool little windmill building. Wind power. Faggot. We need oil and gas and nuclear power. And once we have energy that's too cheap to meter, we can build all kinds of nice products. And all African people. Oh, this is nice here. Nice little homespun regen. Ooh, I like it. I like it a lot. So, well, that house is right up on the top of the hill there, isn't it? That's nice. I'm so jealous of everybody else's house. So, yeah, get the hard cider going. It's good and good for you. When drunk responsibly, in moderation, from time to time, with good friends, as a social lubricant. You just have to know how to use things properly, and then they become good medicine. Just like science, technology. But if it's all just the prophet's first thing, then forget about it. Forget about it. Externalities, forget about it. All right.